Hey guys, it's me, Michelle. Welcome back to this. I don't know what to do for my intro yet, so leave me suggestions down below. I like the hi, it's me, but I don't know what to do. It's so awkward and I just want to start. So we're just gonna go ahead. Is dabbing cool? I don't think I should start with dabbing. That seems very boomer of me. We have quite an interesting story to get through today. I feel like I'm talking too softly. I need to speak normally because I'm shy, because my husband is home and I feel insecure. But we live together and he knows I'm doing this and he's totally fine with it, but I'm still insecure about it because I'm a shy little bitch. Today's video, we are unfortunately talking about Gabbie Hanna again. Now, I say unfortunately, and obviously there's no real obligation for me to talk about her, who am I? But at the same time, she's really just gone out of her way recently to make a bit of a fool of herself. And I think it's important to comment and critique on her behavior because she shows a lot of examples, in my opinion, that are dangerous behavior, toxic behavior, and I think she's giving an incredibly poor example to her audience and others of how to handle conflict. It just sounded so smart now, didn't I? Gabbie Hanna is currently in the process of, I guess, publishing or continuing a series of, I don't know exactly what to call them because they're not really vlogs, they're not really story times, they're kind of just all over the place. I think she really just decided to sit down and hit record and she just kind of talked to the camera as if, maybe it was an extension. It's obviously an extension of her audience, but as if it's an extension of herself, like a diary almost. It's a bit intimate. I mean, she really does keep in a lot of moments where you're like, I don't know if the internet needed to see this, but I guess that's Gabbie Hanna now, isn't it? In my previous video where I talked about drama and such, I put on my makeup. But in the spirit of Gabbie Hanna's series, I thought, why not get progressively uglier as it continues? So I'm going to take off my makeup and do my nighttime skincare routine for you. I'll list all the products I use down below. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and follow me on social media. I'll link down below. I'd appreciate it. I'm a pretty fun time, if I do say so myself. So let's get into it. I would like to make a couple of disclaimers before we proceed. One, I'm going to be talking about some incredibly serious topics such as SA and hard R and other unfortunate acts, as well as some claims and accusations made by both Gabbie Hanna, Jessi Smiles, and a bunch of other people. So just understand this is about to be a mess. To get started, we're going to talk about Chapter 1 of Gabbie Hanna's series. Oh God, that was so feisty for an Ardell lash, Jesus. So Chapter 1 of Gabbie Hanna's series covers a few things, but mainly the rice gum scandal situation that happened, I believe, sometime when Vine was alive. It wasn't that long ago, but it wasn't recently. It was like a minute, okay? To summarize the drama, because that's what the video essentially focuses on, Gabbie Hanna approached Rice Gum at a party and was trying to make a Snapchat video with him, and it's kind of visible in the story that she posted that he wasn't entirely interested in participating, but she pushed, and he overreacted and began pushing her off, scratching at her supposedly, and he self-admittedly threw her phone on the ground and destroyed her phone. I just realized this is going to be kind of gross, huh? After the confrontation happened, Gabbie Hanna went to her social media. I believe she posted on her Snapchat stories following what happened.
Challenged you to a live battle on Snapchat. Would you do it? No. Live rap battle. Why would you do it?
No, I don't want to do it.
Alright, so Rice doesn't have his ghostwriter today. It's fine. I think we can still battle. I think we're good. No? You don't want to do it? Okay, so update. Sorry if it looks like I'm crying. Rice Gum didn't think that joke was very funny, and he hit me in the middle of a party and shattered my phone. I can show you that in a second.
She recalled the situation in a rather dramatic fashion, and a lot of people didn't really take her seriously and thought the whole situation was just overblown because of how she was acting afterwards, which you can't really blame her for acting any kind of way because that's a very serious situation to have your phone just destroyed. To be involved in a conversation that escalated to a level you were not prepared for, I mean, that's a lot. I couldn't say I would be in the right state of mind either after. But Gabbie Hanna and Rice Gum both started going to social media to start basically explaining from their perspective what the hell happened. Oh my god, ew. Well, this is drastically different. So after the confrontation happened, Gabbie Hanna and Rice Gum both went their own ways about confronting the drama. Basically told two completely different stories. Rice Gum went on Keemstar, aka the human manifestation of a urine sample container. Oddly specific, yet it fits so well. On that interview with Keemstar, Rice Gum makes it sound like he wasn't as aggressive with Gabbie as Gabbie made it sound.
I'm assuming if I don't do anything, she's going to do it again. I can't just sit there and look like a bitch. I grab her phone, smash her phone, and run away.
And that she was overreacting, and that his response was perfectly reasonable to throw her phone on the ground, and that she should have known who he was. He's Rice Gum. He can't pussy out or anything. Honestly, he just strikes me as just an absolute awful person. I would never want to be within 15 feet of this person. Anyway. And what's pretty crazy is that everyone pretty much took Ryan's side of the story. They thought Gabbie Hanna was being dramatic and that it was perfectly reasonable for Rice Gum to smash her phone because she wanted to take a video of him for Snapchat. But allegedly the reason that he got so agitated is because Gabbie Hanna made a joke about a ghostwriter. And if you don't know, why would you? Because this is the dumbest internet knowledge ever. Rice Gum is a diss track rap person on YouTube. You know, remember when everyone was making a rap record and now everyone's boxing? It was one of those. Rice Gum is this big popular rapper on YouTube, and it actually turns out that a lot of his songs were actually ghostwritten by other people. So when Gabbie Hanna made a joke about Rice Gum having a ghostwriter, he obviously had an incredibly aggressive reaction because it's true. So regardless of that, Gabbie Hanna was basically marked as a drama queen. No one bothered hearing her out. And, you know, on this instance, I do feel for Gabbie. I think that was incredibly wrong for everybody to take Rice Gum's side of the situation. I mean, I don't think any man who behaves, any person that behaves that way, that thinks it's reasonable to destroy somebody else's private property because they said something you didn't like is insane. That is barbaric behavior. As the chapter 1 video continues, Gabbie actually makes some incredibly nuanced points about how men and women are treated within the YouTube content industry. It's somewhat similar, in my opinion, to how the Hollywood industry is. A lot of times actresses are dismissed for getting good roles because they're either hot or popular. And similarly, Gabbie was saying that a lot of her male counterparts, when she was up and coming on Vine, they made comments like, oh, you probably only got X amount of followers because you have big boobs, or if I had big boobs, I would get more followers, blah, blah, blah. Like, if girls have it easy. Now, one thing I want to point out that's interesting in both this chapter and every chapter that has followed since, Gabbie Hanna places a lot of screenshots with definitions and details about ADHD and conditions, symptoms, stuff like that. It's very apparent to me that she's using her ADHD as an excuse for a lot of her poor actions and poor behavior, especially in chapter 4, which we'll get to later. It doesn't really make sense otherwise why she would put in those little snippets about ADHD. To be quite honest, I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I'm literally just a person on the internet. It seems like she's including that as a way to be like, well, this is why, so you really can't get mad at me. It doesn't really scream accountability. It screams more like, you should just shut the hell up and let me do whatever I want because I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm fucking Gabbie Hanna. But regarding this whole Rice Gum situation, honestly, you really can't expect much from people like Rice Gum, and it's really unfortunate that Gabbie had that awful experience, and I can't imagine the repercussions of that. But As we continue through these chapters, we're going to see that Gabbie Hanna has a very F the world and everyone around me mentality rather than a I want to spread joy and love. She's not Miss Congeniality, if you know what I mean. In chapter 2, Gabbie covers a lot of the controversy that was spread and talked about by T channels here on YouTube, most notably Angelica Oles, The Viewer's Voice. Gabbie Hanna's always had a really negative relationship with drama channels. I think oftentimes she's spoken to them in rather derogatory terms, but it's no surprise that she's not going to like them because they consistently talk about her because she consistently is in drama. And the thing about these channels, like The Viewer's Voice, Angelica Oles, they tend to cover the things that are popular and trending. I don't often see them, and listen, I might be mistaken, we can discuss it down below, but I don't often see them talking about things that aren't relevant or trending. Especially like The Viewer's Voice, he tends to publish videos within the first 24 hours of something happening, which is impressive, you have to say. A lot of times these channels focus on what's happening in the present and they'll go off of the information that is present. So updates don't always get made, information can be spread in one way and then another. And of course Gabbie's gonna have a problem with these T channels because they consistently talk about her because she's consistently in drama. It's kind of hard to avoid that when you're either in a stupid scandal for scamming your fans or you say some obnoxious thing on Twitter. It just seems a little, it's like Gabbie Hanna doesn't realize that the reason that they talk about her is because of the things that she does. It's not like they decide to make videos about her. They quite literally just follow the news. So I don't know what she expects, but dedicating so much energy and time to them and responding to every little thing that they've said about you, it just seems so petty. Like you got too much time on your hands almost. It just seems like Gabbie Hanna can't take an L when it comes to just putting things down. She always has to have the last word, and honestly, in life, you don't always get that. And a very specific situation is emphasized in chapter 2 that I'm not going to get into any detail at all because it has been made quite clear by the people affected by the situation that they don't want anyone to talk about the situation. So, to put it very briefly and bluntly, Gabbie Hanna, while recording for a video about turning herself into an e-girl, came across a photo of a young woman that had unfortunately passed away, and Gabbie Hanna didn't see that within the context of the article and rather commented on physical aspects about her, granted in a positive way, but didn't realize that the reason she's in the article is because she passed away. Now, when this happened, drama channels jumped on her immediately because it does kind of seem a little, I don't want to say obtuse, but it just seems a little careless to not read the context of the article in which you're recording to put on the internet. I don't know. I would just take a quick skim next time. But after watching the series, I'm starting to think that Gabbie Hanna doesn't really read things clearly and concisely. I think she kind of just and goes with it. And Gabbie Hanna also uploaded a apology video to the family, to the people affected. She did take accountability for that situation, and after watching the video, I think she was genuinely sincere and respected the family's feelings. However, it does seem a bit weird that she keeps bringing up the situation, that others keep bringing up the situation. We need to be done with this. If the family said they no longer want it to be spoken about, nobody should be talking about it in any capacity. Gabbie Hanna, these drama channels, nobody. It makes no sense. And for Gabbie to, again, bring it up in this stupid series just seems careless again. She keeps bringing it up to point out how bad drama channels are. It's like, there's other evidence, I'm sure. Why don't you use that? Why do you have to continuously bring up this situation? Is it because it's probably the most uncomfortable one to talk about and it's the easiest for Gabbie to like push out there and say, hey, respond to this, huh? There's no way you can counter that as the drama channel approaching this confrontation. I mentioned it in passing, but just to emphasize and to reiterate, Gabbie Hanna was and is famous from Vine. She's not originally a YouTuber. When she was on Vine, she had made quite a few interesting and controversial TikToks one could call racist.
I love running through black neighborhoods with my shirt off. I'm gonna steal all of your baby daddies.
During her time on Vine, she made quite a few problematic videos that now, in chapter 3, she is apologizing for. Now, I'm going to keep this as brief as possible because, let's be honest here, Gabbie Hanna's apology is not to somebody who looks like me. And to be honest, I don't think I have a right to accept or give my comment on the actual apology itself. However, I do want to comment on some of the language she used throughout the apology that makes it, to me, seem less genuine than what she thinks it sounds like. Throughout the apology, she talks about the videos in question and refers to them as racially charged.
I want to talk about the inappropriate content that I've put out, the racially charged content that I've put out, and pretty much any of my contributions to detrimental cultures.
Hello, Editing Me here. I wanted to quickly note, I strongly suggest that you watch Gabbie's video and form your own opinion on it. I will still give my opinion where I think it's appropriate because I think she speaks in a way that is deceptive, but I don't want to influence how you as an individual feel about the apology. Again, it's not mine to accept, and I merely noticed some weird diction in her apology, and I think it's worth noting.
I thought it was a bit weird that she was saying racially charged. It just didn't sound right to me. So I did what anyone would do, and I went to the internet to find out what the hell does racially charged actually mean. According to this opinion article, okay, it's an opinion, but I think it's a well-rounded one, adjectives modify nouns, giving them form, shape, and color. But adverbs modify verbs. She swung mightily. And by modifying, they qualify whatever you're modifying, giving it shade, style, nuance, softening it. That softening of language is what makes them so controversial.
Adverbs, not always, but often enough, weaken sentences because they inhibit concise writing. When writing is not concise and precise as possible, its impact diminishes. Racial is and always will be an adjective, but racist works both as an adjective, that ad is racist, and a noun, he's a racist. Each successive example is a little stronger, a little more dangerous. The instinct is to play it safe, to coach our words lightly, but being precise and concise isn't just more intellectually honest, it's honest, period. So when Gabbie Hanna used the term racially charged to initially describe her previous content, she already kind of starts it off on a foot of, like, it sounds like she's saying racist, but it's not as strong as racist because she's putting racist in the adjective versus the noun part. I hope that makes sense.
So after the initial apology, Gabbie Hanna starts to go into this what I would describe as white-splaining racism. And so many white people, myself included, are guilty of this. It's really, really cringy once you recognize it to see it. But yeah, Gabbie Hanna just starts white-splaining racism and ranting and raving about how awful racism is. And it's like, girl, where the hell have you been? I understand if she's excited and she's enthusiastic about being more progressive and actually being an ally to things, but I'm going to say this right now. The best thing that we white people can do to stop racism is to just shut up. Just be quiet. Just be quiet and listen. That's all you got to do. Just stop talking. But that's impossible, it seems. All right. Let's talk about the escape the night bullshit. So in chapter 4 of this series, Gabbie Hanna revisits her time on Escape the Night. Now, if you don't know what Escape the Night is a YouTube original series produced by Joey Graceffa and his former boyfriend Daniel Prida, or Prada, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Prida. But they produced this show with YouTube, and essentially the plot is a gang of YouTubers. I can't tell if that was a gunshot or a firework. Essentially, a group of YouTubers goes to a house and they do a combination of reality TV show mixed with murder mystery dinner, mixed with a survival game. It is a wild ride, and to be a part of that show is a great opportunity because not only are you on a 10 to 12 episode series and getting paid for it, you're also getting a ton of exposure through YouTube Red, through VidCon. They get featured consistently every year when they, had the series going. So you would think that anyone who was able to be a part of this would just be super grateful, happy to be there, easy to work with, making sure that they solidify their reputation now with YouTube so that in the future they can have more opportunities. That's not what Gabbie did. No ma'am. So episode 4 is Gabbie Hanna recalling her time on Escape the Night season 4 specifically. Now, on this season, Gabbie Hanna had recently gone through a rather intense scandal with Kenza Cosmetics, which she also talks about in this episode, but not, it's kind of just like a retelling of it and, her emphasizing again that she didn't realize it was a scam. The Kenza Cosmetics thing was fully a scam. Just to briefly summarize, Gabbie Hanna and a few other influencers too partnered with Kenza Cosmetics, which is basically a reseller of really cheap products. And the deal was that you could get these high quality brushes for free. All you would have to do is pay shipping, but some people never got their order. Some people were scammed. It was a whole mess because it was later found out that those same brushes were being sold on AliExpress for like a penny and a sugar packet. It was clearly a scam, regardless if Gabbie Hanna knew that or not. And she had a really, really bad reaction to this. She basically told people that they need to manage their expectations and what were they expecting for paying $10 for 10 brushes. She did not do that one well, okay? It was not well received. But back to the Escape the Night situation. I'm going to explain Gabbie's point of view and then I'm going to get into what seems to be the real situation. But from Gabbie's point of view, there was no healthy options available. Nobody catered to her needs. She felt like she was being ignored. Her needs weren't being met. She complained about her costume, saying it was uncomfortable and that they didn't listen to her when she said she wanted to wear something easier to run in. If you've never seen Escape the Night, it is very athletic. People are doing like genuinely real physical challenges, and I definitely understand not wanting to wear a ball gown while you're running around grabbing stuff. I mean, that's annoying. From what Gabbie's describing, it sounds like, oh my god, this is terrible. She had to wear this, she couldn't do that, she couldn't eat, blah blah blah. Like, she makes it sound like she had a really, really, really bad time on there. But she also admits that she was quite a problem on set. She again seems to blame and excuse her behavior in this situation on her, at the time, undiagnosed ADHD. And again, regardless of what situation you have, it doesn't warrant you being a jerk. And the things that were described that Gabbie Hanna did, oh my god, I'm surprised no one booted her off set earlier. So on top of the unjust treatment she was getting on set, she felt like her time was being wasted because her call times kept getting delayed. She kept sitting around and she showed up early, blah, blah, blah. And if you've never been a part of a production, it's really a lot of work that is sporadic at best. But Gabbie Hanna doesn't seem to know that and got really upset with the fact that she had to show up unnecessarily to set and had to wait around and yada, yada, yada. It just seems a little pretentious because what is she really being asked to do? She got to hang out in this gorgeous trailer with food, which there was food there. She claims that there wasn't food, but we're going to get into it. There was plenty of refreshments there, catered by Daniel, who was not even supposed to be a part of that. So she complains about the food, she complains about her costume, she complains about the scheduling, and she makes it seem like they just were not giving a good goddamn about her at all. Finally, the last straw was that Gabbie Hanna was killed off incredibly early, considering where she ended up in the last season. Gabbie Hanna was a part of a double death with Tana Mojo, and it's revealed later on by Joey Graceffa, which we'll talk about in a second, that he actually needed to kill Tana off because she had a scheduling conflict with MTV, which is much more important than a freaking gym appointment. They had to kill Tana off anyway, so they're like, let's just couple Gabbie in this and get her off the set. And again, she really does admit to the fact that she was acting incredibly irrational on set, but seems to dismiss it because she apologized to Joey. But Joey wasn't the only person that she affected. She was belligerent towards crew, towards the director, towards people in the kitchen. She was just an absolute nightmare for everybody. So just apologizing to the one person that probably got the most screwed over by you doesn't really mean much, considering the actual actions she made. That's my opinion, though. So she published chapter 4. It was quite ruthless. It was quite directed towards Joey, and he decided to respond. And respond he did, bitch. He came out with a super concise and straightforward video about the situation and told his side of the story and presented legitimate receipts. Gabbie had a few text message screenshots here and there, but it honestly, we're going to get into it more in the next chapter, but a lot of the screenshots Gabbie shows doesn't really prove her point at all. They honestly make her look really bad. Joey shows screenshots of Gabbie submitting her medical and dietary information late.
Then you go into your eating disorder and the whole food situation. Every single person is sent a form days before we start filming to get people's medical information and their allergies and any food restrictions. Gabbie didn't fill this out until the day we were on set. Miss Gabbie, can we do a little BTS?
Of course.
How is she? Look at, she's got her yellow hair on.
We're doing that.
She's practicing her script.
Filling out my medical information.
You're supposed to fill this out beforehand so we can get everything prepared and make sure that we have your dietary restrictions accounted for.
So, of course, they didn't have any food prepared for her for the first couple days because they were supposed to get that information earlier. Instead of blowing her off and saying, well, go deal with it, Daniel, Joey Graceffa's boyfriend, and at the time producer, took it upon himself to get salads for her, to get meals. He coordinated stuff for her.
She's putting her blame on her agents, who it's not her agent's job to fill out paperwork and tell me what they want. If she doesn't communicate that with them, they're not going to communicate with me. So I'm really not understanding the disconnect here. I said, right, okay, we will get it done. Sorry for the miscommunication on whoever's part. She said, love you, sorry for being evil, low blood sugar me is the worst version of me. And I said, it's okay, I'm hypoglycemic, I understand. I have some fresh veggies and hummus here. Can I make you a plate as a snack? Also going to Whole Foods for a run if I can get you anything. I pulled this completely out of my ass. I wasn't going to Whole Foods. I'm like, let me appease Gabbie. Let me go make her some salads each day. It's not a big deal, even though that was not in my job description, but we didn't have the budget for me to have my own assistant this season. So I'm like, let me just go to Whole Foods. I don't want her to be upset, and I want to bypass any of this type of behavior and making people more uncomfortable. Sure, what do you want in it? Chicken, black beans, bacon, dried cranberries, and a little blue cheese crumbles, balsamic on the side, please. Okay, want me to grab a few other meals in case for tonight / 2 more salads? Sure, that would be dope. Someone just brought me salmon. So I'm really confused here because clearly these were not shown in her video. I went above and beyond. I worked my fucking ass off on this set. I'm doing jobs I didn't mind doing, but were not in my job description. And I didn't mind doing it because these people were my friends and I did not want to create a toxic atmosphere due to her behavior. So anything that she's saying, this is false. This is a narrative that she's creating to make me look bad, and I refuse to stand by that. Also, here's a pic of the salads that I made at Whole Foods. Disregard the pizza here. I was hungry, so I got a little snack, but you can see I made her salads, I got her grape leaves, I got her a bunch of hummus packs, I got her some chicken and rice on the sides, and that is something that I did daily while she was on set. And guess what? I brought those to set. Maybe one was eaten. She was eating everything else on set that was unhealthy, and that's not on me, baby girl, that's on you.
It's incredibly disrespectful what they describe, and I could not imagine dealing with that with a coworker, let alone a friend, because Joey and Gabbie were incredibly close friends before this. She was bullying Tana apparently at some times, and Tana was acting out against her, which of course made everybody else miserable. And I can't remember if it's Daniel because he also responded with a video, or if it was Joey, but one of them says that a very prominent and popular YouTuber, a female YouTuber who participated in that season, approached them and said, please kill me off soon because I can't deal with Gabbie Hanna anymore. So not only were her actions affecting the crew, but they were also affecting the cast. And who wants to work in an environment where you want to just kill yourself off so you don't have to deal with somebody? I mean, that's gotta be rough. So Joey decides to kill her off early. And of course, Gabbie didn't take that well. And Joey was like, you know, it is what it is. I just gotta get you off set because you are affecting more than one aspect of filming. And he can't have that anymore. I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar project. This is his credibility on the line. I could not imagine the stress. After the season wrapped up, they had to do one last day of basically graphical work. You know, they needed to get pictures for the thumbnail, for the billboard, for advertisements. It was basically like a quick little shoot day just to get enough images together so they can use it for repeatable and marketable content. So Gabbie Hanna, the day before, the night before the shoot is supposed to happen, tells Daniel and Joey that she cannot come. She has a writer's camp that she rescheduled. She has a gym appointment that she rescheduled. She can no longer deal with the drama of Escape the Night and refuses to come to the shoot. It wasn't until Daniel essentially told her, you are contractually obligated, you are contractually obligated to come to this goddamn thing or else we're gonna have to take things further. And it wasn't until Gabbie retaliated with nasty comments, a nasty voice message that was 3 minutes long. Oh my God, no, I wouldn't even listen to it. I would fucking delete it. Not in a million years, bitch. After she puts up such a fight to go to this goddamn shoot, she finally ends up going and is just an absolute miserable person the entire time. So much so that when a production assistant, I'm not entirely sure of the title, but when someone on the crew approached her and said, hey, we're gonna actually delay your time by about 10 minutes to go shoot, Gabbie Hanna responded by calling her a dumb cunt. See you next Tuesday. I could not imagine the faces in that trailer, in that room when that happened. I know I would have been red in the face with anger, because that is just no way you speak to another human being. How entitled, how pretentious. It was Gabbie that kept falling short. But another instance that was very specific is that Gabbie claimed that her costume was ill-fitting, it wasn't comfortable, and the reason why is because she blew off 2 dress fittings before shoot.
All the shit that I was promised wasn't going to happen, essentially.
Let me give you the facts here. The reason why her outfit didn't fit is because Gabbie didn't attend 2 out of the 3 wardrobe fittings. Right here, I'm going to show a text. Again, I'm completely leaving the executive's name out of the text because I don't want her to be attacked. This is 3 days before filming. Do you know how difficult those days before filming is? Everybody's stressed, everybody's freaking, it is crunch time. The way wardrobe works, it is done weeks before the show is supposed to start, not days. Gabbie is officially on the shit list. Not only did she make who is 9 months pregnant drive all the way to her studio in Porter Ranch today at 5 p.m., but she legit left early and isn't available all night to get fitted. I respond, OMG. So we will have to pick her outfit for her and it won't be fitted. It is the biggest fuck you. She canceled on us yesterday too.
As of right now, Joey Graceffa is in the process of extracting behind the scene footage so we can actually see how bad she was, because Gabbie keeps coming back with these counter arguments that are not necessarily hindering Joey or Daniel's story because they presented a lot of good evidence. It's just she keeps fighting back, and it's almost like you have to kind of put a mirror in front of her to understand why these things keep happening and really show that it's her actions that put her where she is, nobody else's. All these things really do just scream to me that Gabbie Hanna is severely insecure about herself. And listen, girl, we all are. We've all got shit we don't like about ourselves. We all got shit that we wish we could do better. But it's never ever an excuse to degrade another human being. It's just, there's no justification for that. So chapter 5 is about Trisha Paytas. There's actually a 2-parter to chapter 5, and I'm just literally not going to talk about this. I'm sorry. I know that the point of this video is for me to summarize everything, but the whole drama between Gabbie Hanna and Trisha Paytas is so useless. It is pointless. It is stupid. This is the most... how has this not been dropped already? How has nobody moved on from this already? It's just pointless. And I think they are just 2 people who cannot get a goddamn grip on themselves and have to rehash this every so often so they can regenerate some buzz, regenerate some views, and get a fat check for being annoying. If you want to hear a summary from me, I did include it in my previous video that included Gabbie Hanna and the drama that surrounded it. So if you're really curious, you can check that out. Or there's a ton of people who have made it. I can even link some down below that I find interesting. So, as of this recording, chapter 5 is the last chapter in this series. The most recent video Gabbie Hanna has uploaded is actually a response to a series of videos Jessi Smiles posted of a phone conversation she had with Gabbie Hanna sometime in 2020. I believe it was the summer of 2020. She also talks about the whole situation with Angelica Oles again, which we already talked about. We're not going to go into it again. I want to say that Gabbie Hanna's intent with this video is to try and clear her name that she was a bad friend, a rape apologist, all these things, but I think it completely backfired on her. So about a month ago, like I said, Jessi Smiles published a series of videos that were edited snippets of a phone call conversation that she had with Gabbie Hanna that they both consented to recording.
This is what you told me. You hung out with Curtis's friend. Curtis was there, pulled you to the side, told you, I'm so sorry I was mean to you. I can't believe what Jessi did to you.
He FaceTimed me right after our first fight because I genuinely, dead ass, do not know how people knew about it.
And why'd you pick up to him?
I didn't have the number saved. That's the first situation, was a FaceTime call. The second situation was when we were at an event and he tried to take a selfie with me, and I was like, no, that's not happening. And then the event that I'm assuming you have to be talking about is when I was at 1600 Vine, and then he came there. I think I was at Lele's, and then he showed up, and I was like, oh, fuck no. He tried to talk to me and pull me aside
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's a completely different situation. That's literally months and months later.
You were at a place with his friends. He showed up and pulled you to the side. I said that.
You hung out with Curtis's friend. Curtis was there, pulled you to the side.
I said
And you
that.
said that as the way that it all went down. I also didn't hang out with, like, his friends.
You admitted to it.
People who knew Curtis. I think I was at Lele's. We all lived in the same building.
Yes, and he showed up and pulled you to the
And
side.
guess what? I am allowed to have friends. I'm allowed to collaborate. Like, I can't cut everybody out of my life.
Obviously, it's edited, so we're not going to understand the full context. There is a full 3-hour video of the conversation. What I've heard so far, they talk about a lot of nothing for so long. It doesn't really even matter. A lot of the things they talk about should have just been private or just dropped. I mean, Jessi, I like Jessi a lot. I think she's cool, and I'm honestly on her side on this. But she is married with a child and another one on the way. She does not need to keep entertaining this stupid bitch. And Gabbie needs to just learn how to take an L and move on. I don't understand how somebody can care for their mental health and still be so self-destructive. One of the things in the phone call conversation and in Gabbie Hanna's video that she emphasizes the most is her relationship to Curtis Lepore, who was at one point dating Jessi Smiles and who was also convicted and pled guilty to assaulting Jessi Smiles. Sometime in 2014-2015, Jessi Smiles had pressed charges against Curtis Lepore for sexually assaulting her, and he took a plea bargain, pled guilty, and went down to, I believe it was federal assault, which his punishment was essentially counseling and community service. The reason I bring this up is that at one point Gabbie Hanna and Jessi Smiles were very close friends, and prior to that friendship, when the story first broke, Gabbie Hanna made some rather derogatory comments about Jessi Smiles and insinuated that she was lying about the events that transpired and essentially victim blamed, didn't believe Jessi was a rape apologist. She was accused of a lot of things because of what she was saying.
You'll also hear Jessi say that I apologized to her face about the tweets from the day the article dropped.
You apologized 2 months later in March 2014 to me at the New York Vine meetup, but I'm sorry about those tweets, that was wrong.
wrong. And that's when and how we became friends and met, actually. That was used as evidence by Jessi and her friends that I did actually defend my best friend's rapist the day that the article dropped, which is a very manipulative thing to say because I had never met her. I never met Curtis. I was barely a creator at the time. I was still working my marketing job.
Yes, Gabbie, you apologized for making tweets that were supporting my rapist and calling me a liar and being disgusting on the day that the TMZ article was dropped. We did not know each other at the time she made those tweets, and then we met a couple months later at a Vine meetup in New York. She came up to me in a hotel room and she said, I should have never made those tweets. And I said, you know what? It's fine. Don't worry about it. We proceeded to become friends. Yes, Gabbie, you apologized to me and I forgave you. However, if I do some heinous shit and I hurt someone and I apologize to them and they say it's okay, and then 5 years later, 6 years later, however many years later, I say, I never did that. What are you talking about?
This was the day the story broke, and I hadn't seen the article yet. Whatever he tweeted, I genuinely have no idea what his tweet was. But I remember I responded with a current Vine meme, which was a Big Sean Lil Wayne song, Beware, beware, beware of a woman with a broken heart. So that was a Vine meme. For those of you who were on Vine at the time, you remember it. I don't remember what he said. Obviously, it had nothing to do with the rape case. So that was that day before I ever saw it. The tweet is deleted because I was like, oh shit, I didn't understand the context of anything about this, and that's why it's gone. Because I didn't stand by what it said once I understood the context of everything that was happening.
That is called taking back your apology. Your apology no longer exists because you went on an entire campaign saying, I never tweeted in support of Curtis Lepore. I never defended Curtis Lepore. That has been your stance since the beginning of when all of this got outed. But you'll see, she brings up multiple times how she apologized to me. That apology was retracted the second you started denying you ever did anything that needed an apology in the first place.
So Gabbie Hanna tries to clear her name with Jessi Smiles on the phone call and in this video, but it kind of counteracts itself because in the phone call with Jessi, she details 3 events in which her and Curtis had interacted. I'm a little confused because when she's on the phone call with Jessi, she says that it was in person, but then when you watch the recent video that Gabbie published, she says it was on a FaceTime. But regardless, I'm gonna say they had a conversation with each other in which Curtis said, can I please recount the night in question with Jessi to you? And Gabbie says yes.
After he apologized, he said, can I tell you my story? And I said, yes, I'll listen. Then I asked him if he was recording because I was paranoid because of some of the shit that Jessi was doing to me. And he told me no, pretty much have the same story. Like, she's not going around telling lies. She's going around saying what happened. You just see the story differently. You have different opinions on the story. Even if you were confused that she was asleep and thus could not consent and thus it was rape. And no, I was not mean to him on the call. I have always believed that there's no point in trying to learn from your mistakes if people won't let you grow from them. So if you're gonna tell me a story and I have an opportunity to possibly fucking teach you something or call you out on some shit, why the fuck wouldn't I do that? Like, what's the point? I knew that his fate would be determined by a judge and a court. I am not here to fucking judge anybody, dude. I'm not here to condemn anybody. All he asked was to be heard, and I listened. So again, if you think I'm evil for listening to somebody and for wanting to hear both sides of a situation before I condemned and judged somebody for eternity, whatever. That being said, he did fucking blackmail me.
She says in this recent video that everyone deserves to have their side of the story heard. In a court of law, you need to have your side of the story heard. But at that time that Gabbie heard him out, Curtis had already pled guilty. There is no side to be heard. He is guilty for what he did. And regardless of her friendship with Jessi, if you know that somebody's a rapist, do not speak to them. There's no side to be heard. There's no story to be told. They decided to force themselves on another human being, and that makes them garbage and trash. And nothing they say has any validity and holds no weight. And the fact that she keeps claiming that she's not a rape apologist while simultaneously saying that Curtis's side of the story deserves to be heard too is absolutely hypocritical and bullshit. I don't understand how she can say these things, edit them, publish them, and think they make sense. And what's really crazy is that Gabbie brings up the BuzzFeed article that she interviewed for, which I'm sure she asked for because she was working at BuzzFeed at one point. She 100% has connections there still. In the article, the question is essentially, who has Gabbie Hanna had to apologize to? And Gabbie Hanna responds with, oh, who haven't I apologized to? I've apologized to this person, Jessi Smiles, Beyonce, so-and-so. She brings up Jessi. She's the one who inserted Jessi into this BuzzFeed article. Gabbie is the one who continuously brings up Jessi, brings up her trauma, and makes the whole thing about her, which is the most frustrating part to me, because what happened to Jessi is horrifying. That is an awful act that I don't wish on anybody. And yet, Gabbie Hanna seems to just pull it out of the box and run around with it as if it's some kind of toy. Just because the story was published about Jessi and that it's public information doesn't mean that Gabbie has free reign to talk about it whenever she wants. The same reason that she shouldn't be talking about the girl who passed away in the e-girl video. There's just no reason to bring it up because it's not your trauma. There's no reason. Why are you weaponizing it? So as of right now, it is Saturday, July 3rd at 11:22 p.m. Jessi Smiles claims to be publishing a video tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. EST. Hello again. So as you have noticed, Jessi has responded and uploaded her video. I've inserted a couple of clips here and there from it, but I strongly suggest that you do give her video a watch. Even just listen to how she speaks and review the evidence she puts forth. I think it's incredibly compelling. But because Gabbie Hanna's response to Jessi was so personal and was really targeting a lot of personal things towards Jessi, I think it's important to hear from her specifically and directly. That way you can fully hear from the victim's mouth how she feels about Gabbie Hanna taking her trauma and running around with it. Before we conclude, if I can just briefly give my opinion on this whole thing, because I've sat through all of these chapters, I have sat through commentary, I have sat through the Instagram stories, and I've noticed a few things about Gabbie Hanna. One of which is that it's very clear that Gabbie Hanna has an incredibly different set of standards for herself versus the standards she has for other people. Other people are not allowed to talk about Gabbie Hanna in a negative way, yet she's able to call people narcissistic abusers, bitches, C words, all these awful things without a problem. She can do that because she's allowed to do that. Other people's trauma and abuse can be brought up and used in any which way Gabbie Hanna finds fit, yet her trauma, her abuse needs to stay with her. That is her story to tell. Other people can't share private conversations, but Gabbie Hanna can show screenshots. It's just, she does not hold herself to a high standard. She lets herself get away with murder because she thinks her ADHD or her talent or her whatever makes her impenetrable to criticism, to bullying, to being held accountable for her shitty actions. It's very apparent that Gabbie Hanna is very insecure, she's self-indulged, she's self-centered, and she is going to act relentlessly in her pursuit of justice. Speaking from somebody who has worked with influencers, who currently works in the marketing field and understands how these kind of things can really leave ramifications on your reputation, I genuinely think this series is going to destroy Gabbie Hanna's career on YouTube. And this isn't to be mean, her music career is not solid enough to help her bounce back from losing YouTube. Because a lot of the reason people watch her music videos is because they're fans of her YouTube videos, or she promotes it through her YouTube videos. Right now, with what's going on, what support does she expect to have from her peers? Who's going to retweet about Gabbie Hanna's new music video, or who's going to help support her in the production of it? I mean, you have TikTokers who use YouTubers, other TikTokers, other celebrities as means to promote their music video, both in a advertisement format and in being featured in the actual video. But Gabbie Hanna no longer has those options because she has completely isolated herself due to these incredibly critical and aggressive videos about literally nothing. All of this is just pure nothing. And something I think Gabbie Hanna really needs to understand is that just because you apologize for your actions doesn't mean that that apology is forever or that it can't be revoked. Because if your actions after the apology don't line up, the apology is null and void. I really truly hope that Gabbie just stops with this series and goes back to just making cute little vlogs on her other channel. I think she gave up too early on building that channel and decided that drama and controversy were better ways of promoting herself. But I really hope she just takes a step back and just shuts up. Not even in a mean way. I just want her to just stop talking, stop filling up her room with noise pollution, and just take a step back. Okay, I think that's my entire skincare routine is done. I've reached the end of my notes. We are all caught up, I think. Now, like I said, this is being filmed on July 3rd at about, a little bit before midnight, so I don't know what is going to happen between now and when I publish this. I'll be sure to include as many updates as I can, but if I miss something, I'll be sure to mention it in my next video addressing drama, or, you'll see it in some way. Follow me on Instagram. I tend to update more there anyway. I'm really hoping this channel doesn't become Gabbie Hanna centric. I've already ruined my beautiful notebook with stupid notes from her stupid video. I mean, you guys want to see? I'm going to show you anyway. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe and ring that bell because we have a good time on over here. And if you're interested in beauty content, I upload those occasionally along with more interesting internet drama and topics. I'm not entirely sure what direction this channel is going, but subscribe and you'll come along for the ride. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye! No longer deal with the drama. She can know.